Brian, this episode of the Butter What podcast, I don't know if it's a podcast. This episode of the Butter What podcast is filmed before a live YouTube studio audience. Did you know that?
Socially distanced
I'm
audience.
Pat, and this is my co-host Brian, and he's very socially distant. You can tell because I have a green background, and Brian has a regular
Super Troopers.
Super Troopers background. But for some reason, Brian put this nifty, simple tool tray for your CNC router bits project that one of us found a couple of weeks ago. Could be a while ago. This is from February, so who knows when we actually found it. I don't know if it fits under 3D printing, Tubby, but we're leaving it here. Is that okay?
Well, I think so. I mean, it's CNC, and like we like to joke, it's the inverse of 3D printing. So it's on the other side of the coin.
It's true. It's true. And this is interesting to me because I put end mills for my CNC back in the little containers. I wish I had one here in the little, like those two little plastic containers at the bottom of that tray. And, throw them in a drawer, and then I'm just, looking for them. And this is way better. And it's an easy enough project. This would be an easy thing to design a parametric one of these.
Yeah, I like it. What's the right way to say it? My wife Yulia, who's watching, will admit and gleefully laugh at me when I admit that I'm a little bit OCD about things in drawers and wanting them to be nice and neat and laid out where they're easy to find. That'd be awesome to have something parametric like that you could organize any kind of drawer for, not just necessarily CNC mills.
This is true. It doesn't say how thick this is. Does it? There's a 9mm wide deep part. Yeah, it doesn't say how thick it is. It doesn't matter. It's an SVG file that he gives you for this if you want to cut this exact thing yourself, and the depth is up to you and your CAM software. So that's fine.
But you'd probably just start over from scratch and design something yourself in OpenSCAD, right?
I probably would, because I want to fit my tools in there. I have a ton of he's got half eighth inch and half quarter inch look. I don't know if that's actually what they are. They might be in metric, like Alex here said. But I use mostly eighth inch cutters, so I'd have way more slots for eighth inch cutters than quarter inch. The quarter inch are the big ones.
Gotcha.
If you didn't know that.
A quarter's bigger than an eighth?
Yes, unless it's a hamburger. A third-pound hamburger is smaller than a quarter pound, is what I heard. I don't know how true that is. And the next thing on our list is this, found this over at Hackaday. It's a 3D printed camera arm that orbits your 3D print during a time-lapse. And I don't remember if I found this before you started your journey on going crazy with your time-lapses, Brian, or after. Oh, geez, there's music. It didn't mute.
Oops.
I just wanted to skip in here to see what the time-lapse looks like. It's a little herky-jerky. It's not smooth, but that's a solvable problem.
Yeah. Well, I think it's neat. I like the motion.
Yeah, it's so much more interesting when a camera's moving around.
Well,
not like this one that's filming me here.
Yeah. You could.
Oh, and the finished product might not be that. That's pretty smooth.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it did a couple different animations. Animation, is that the right word for that?
Motions? And it looked like it reversed the orbit after the print was done. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
It goes around once during the print, and then there's a...
It heads back. It
heads back, to see the finished product from
like the highlights after a Mario Kart race.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. But did you start using your DSLR for your time lapses because of that?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't
Or
because
did
of that.
Or did I find this because you were so into your time lapses?
Maybe a little bit of both. You know, the time lapses is all your fault, anyways. Pat bought a new camera that he's using right now. He's talking to it, and
I am.
I've been jealous of it for a while, and I was about to buy one, but our friend Alex decided to buy one and had an older generation of a similar camera that I bought from him. So I had this extra camera, and I've been doing time-lapse photography of almost all of my 3D prints using a decent webcam, but you know all of the really nice looking 3D printed time lapses are shot with DSLR cameras. So when I had
Or mirror. It doesn't have to be a DSLR.
yeah.
Just a real
a
camera.
nice camera, not
A real
not
photography camera.
a real photography camera. And I had purchased that extra Sony camera to replace the top-down camera that I was using. I'm gonna call it in my recording studio, but it's really a spare bedroom right over there. And so I had this perfectly nice camera that was a huge upgrade over the webcam that I was using, and I decided to go, I don't want to say a little overboard, but I think a little overboard trying to print both nice objects and then also at the same time record a time lapse of it. And I've had a lot of fun printing lots of these little bender heads. I've got a whole, you can see.
How many do you think you have?
I think I counted them the other day. There's like 9 of them that I've kept, that I've retained. There are others that have been thrown away, but there's like 9 just over my shoulder here.
Yeah, 3D Weeby says they're over there. I can't. Oh, you guys have a better view of this than I do because.
Yeah, is it wider for everybody
It's wider.
else?
It's wider for everyone else. Yeah.
I worked really hard to frame and make sure that they were in the background there as an Easter egg for our viewers.
That's fantastic. And I like this. I know he has a bunch of these little snippets of time lapses. This is with Octolapse in Octoprint.
Yes.
And what Octolapse lets you do is it takes a picture, either with your webcam or whatever camera you have hooked up, at the end of every layer, correct?
Yeah, at the end of every
Usually.
layer. Usually it's got some smarts about it, the way that it does it. But yeah, it picks, and in the one that we're watching here, it picks, you kind of give it some geometry. So I can't remember what I said. The back right. So it's picking the point on every layer that's that's closest to the far right corner.
Yeah, the farthest away from the camera in this angle.
Yeah, the farthest away from the camera in this angle, but it's not going all the way to that corner. It's staying
Within
on
the
actual
bounds.
Yeah, within the bounds of the printed object.
Yeah. I know you had some trouble with stringing on this one.
Yeah,
When it was because usually Octolapse's default is to walk the print head away from the object, right?
Yeah, to like
away.
to the well, same concept. You pick the position, but then it goes all the way to that point. So if I had said, you know, the rear right or the rear left, it would go to the far corner of the print bed. And every time it
drags
did
a little
that,
string of filament.
it oozed a
every
little
time.
bit. Yeah, Bender would have this mohawk of neck and head hair. I don't know what to call it, but he'd have this furry line. And at one point, I just decided I would do that and then just shoot from the other angle so that nobody ever saw it. But all the prints were pretty ugly. I mean, they took a lot of work to clean up the stringiness, and it never looked really good.
Yeah, and that was a bummer because this is Joseph Prusa's Prusament, and there are settings for it too, and it still was stringy. Everybody says really nice things about Prusament, and I think it's just fine, but I was not terribly impressed with this spool.
Yeah, I've done time lapses like that before and not had nearly as much stringing. I mean, like a little bit, but not to the extent that I got on the Prusament filling with the with the Prusa slicer using their filament profile.
Do you know I've printed 2 of these bender heads? Well,
Just-
I printed one and failed another. I printed one out of wood PLA.
Oh,
That
I
was
remember
kinda
this
neat.
one. Yeah.
And I tried so hard. We had a little spool of iron PLA. It was magnetic. It had actual iron filings in it.
Oh,
But
fun.
it just did not want to stay extruding. It would stop at about 4 or 5 millimeters every single time. I tried turning the heat up, turning the heat down. I tried all kinds of things. It just
That's a bummer.
and I gave up. Yeah, that would have been cool to have a metal bender head. But like the real one, I guess the real one's supposed to be metal.
Yeah.
It's a cartoon though, so it's paint, ink, but
Paper.
paper. Do they do it on paper now?
I can't imagine that they do.
That's pretty fancy. Oh, but here's Brian's. I don't know if this is your current setup, Tubby, but he's got this webcam on the arm here is what he used to use.
Yep.
Or I imagine what you use when you don't set up all this extra.
Yeah,
The extra
yeah.
tripod.
Or in what I use to monitor a print, remotely from
Yeah.
across the house. Or
And it looks like you've got a little USB connector going to the old Canon DSLR. And
yep,
my understanding is Octoprint uses G-Photo to snap the picture and then copy the JPEG
yep, yeah.
off of the
It uses
camera.
it uses G-Photo to snap the picture and pulls off the JPEG, and at the end of it, it renders it.
You didn't tell everyone that this ends up with you get a video file that's like 5,700 by 3,500 pixels.
Yeah, it's
like
huge.
It's like a 20 megapixel video.
yeah,
It's
it's
kind of ridiculous.
ultra high definition. What is that?
A lot. It's way more than 4K.
It's more than 4K.
6K, I guess.
Yeah,
Give or
well,
take. Give or take. It's a lot.
And that's one of the things that I liked about it. I mean, what I wound up doing in post on that, I got to scale it up and crop down to just a 1080 frame, and you had Bender and all his teeth and eyeballs in most of the.
I've seen people take those big videos like yours, and when they crop them down to 1080, they pan with
Yeah.
keyframes, so you could scooch around the video and not lose any quality.
I tinkered around with that a little bit. I tried to do just an up and down pan.
You'd have to be printing something really cool for it to be worth the effort.
Yeah,
To do that though.
it looked a little strange, and that's probably one of those things that takes more creativity to
Like
do
maybe
it
if
right.
you're 3D printing a server chassis.
Yeah, maybe another MK735. That's over my shoulder too.
Yeah, it is. I can't even see. I'm gonna check the. Oh, it's too small. I see it there, but it's too small for me to understand. This little clip that I wanted to talk about, this cable clip that I was excited about. It's 2 pieces that snap together. You screw the one piece. He's gonna do it here. You screw the one piece to your desk, the back of your desk or something. Look at this. Put a cable through. And when you pull on it like that, it grabs harder. When the cable tries to pull it out, but when you try to, when you slide it off by the end, it comes right off. I think this is ingenious.
I really like this, and you showed me this when I was working on my PyKVM blogs, and I was
Is
doing
that why
all
I
that.
saw this and was interested
I
in
don't
it?
I don't know if it was, but it made me so mad. I mean, we'll have to link to the PyKVM blog in the video description when we post it, but I worked so hard to cable manage everything back there, and something like this would have been so much better than what I wound up doing.
You're going to have to print 100 of these. And
I had to
have them
take
ready.
it, and I thought I had a hardware failure at one point, so I had to take everything completely apart and start all over from scratch. It was really frustrating. It would have been nice to have something like this.
So you can sneak cables in and out.
Yep.
But this is my favorite thing about 3D printing is there's all these little things. Like I would never think to order something like this from Amazon. And when I need one, it's going to be at least 2 days away. And I could go to a store and try to find these. I'm never going to find these. But I have this saved in Thingiverse. If I know I'm going to be doing cables, I can print a couple of dozen of these and get to work.
Yeah, you could run some new Cat 5 to your network cupboard.
This next one is the most interesting thing. I don't understand I don't really understand why I would want to do this, but I still think it's really neat. This is the Monorail 3D printer. I guess this guy's not the first guy to do this. He's implementing someone else's idea and trying to do a better job. But this is three points of motion on a single linear rail to get your X, Y, and Z motion out of the print head. I have the audio on because it's, it sounds like it's doing its dance. He's got trouble with wobble. I think that's a normal problem to have. It's difficult to solve. I get every one of these joints has a little bit of, but you can see that bobbling up and down.
Yep. I remember watching how high can it go? How high?
This is a good question. I'm not sure.
It seemed like
the first thing I thought of when I saw this, our friend Alex, who's in the chat here, he let me borrow a little laser cutter. That if I was smart, I would have a link to it. I'd have it open in a tab here. But it's just on two rails, and it's kind of like this. It's just out in the open air, so you can just put it down on something, and you can put it. We accidentally lasered his table the day that he got it. But a printer like this, you could clamp this to a desk or something. You could clamp it to something that you wanted to print on. And you would only have to attach one axis and get one axis, lined up. I don't know if that'd be practical for anything, though.
You could decorate a cake.
You could decorate a cake.
I like that idea.
But it's so wobbly. This would not print as it stands right there. I don't know. I assume every one of these bearings just has a little bit of a fraction of a millimeter. If it's a fraction of a degree over that long arm, translates to a lot of whatever this floppiness is. But I could watch this all day. It's fascinating.
It's really neat. I wonder what sort of practical applications will come out of it.
It'd be cool if something's practical, wouldn't it?
Yep.
And Brian, you told us, and I'll have a link to this in the description, you told us that I would probably make my own parametric OpenSCAD CNC'd part holder. Somebody just posted this fantastic book. It's a book on how to learn how to use OpenSCAD. You could buy the paperback. I think it was $25 for the paperback. There was no ebook on Amazon. I was hoping to buy the ebook. I'd like to send him a few dollars. But they have the whole book in HTML on his website.
For free.
For free. And I swore there was a table of contents, but I don't see the table of contents. He's way more advanced than I am with math. Because you see this latch thing that he's making?
Uh-huh.
With this curve in it? He's got he's doing something with the math with the golden ratio here to extract out this shape. And I don't have enough math to do that. I don't know about you, but I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm going to read through this. I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot.
I was disappointed. Well, disappointed's the wrong word. I had to use trigonometry. The only time I've ever used trigonometry outside of high school was in OpenSCAD, trying to figure out an angle, the opposite for something that I was designing. I was like, oh my goodness, I get to finally use trigonometry.
Yeah, but you know what the worst part about that was? I had to look it up.
Yeah, well,
I had to go look it up, and I forgot. Yeah,
I knew that it was trigonometry when I looked at it, and I was impressed with that. But yes, I had to do exactly the same thing. I had to go relearn how. I was like, I know that this. I know what this is. It's got to be sine over cosine or something along those lines.
Yeah, which one is it? Which one?
But
I had to. It's been 25 years almost since Mrs. Coleman taught us trigonometry in high school, and yeah, I definitely had to look it up.
Yeah, me too. But I got it right on the first try. This is not my experience with designing 3D 3D objects. It usually takes me a few iterations to get it right. And I can't even remember what I was designing and printing. The print actually didn't work, but the thing that I was trying to calculate for, when the object didn't work, I was like, I bet you I messed up that trigonometry and I didn't even get the right number. And I measured it out. I was like, oh my God, I did it. I did it right. I did trigonometry right.
You did a fantastic job, Tubby.
Maybe.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So now I'm going to lean way over here so I can read the chat over here.
Yeah, I guess I should pull up the chat too.
Oh, Tubby, you're doing a bad job. Yeah, our friend Lieutenant Data in the chat said we should put a piece of plexiglass over top of this so you can stack them. And that's pretty cool. You could probably even put some little protuberances in the corners to poke up through the plexiglass, and maybe even a little higher than the plexiglass, and maybe put some indents on the bottom so they stay stacked. Now I'm in trouble, Lieutenant Data, because I might want to do some of this. This is true. Well, we're going to do it in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Should we announce... Now, see, I disagree with you and 3D Weeb that we should do an introduction, but I'm wondering if we should do an outro to put on the 4 of these potential videos. Like we do the live stream every first Tuesday or something. I don't even think we have to do it for this set of videos. I'm not too worried about it. But
that's not a bad idea to routinely say, hey.
Yeah, just routinely at the end of every episode say we do this every first Tuesday
of the month.
And
make sure to like and subscribe.
Yeah, make sure to
click
like and
the notification bell.
All those things
smash,
will go in this outro.
Smash that stuff.
And I'm going to use this as our outro.
Oh, I hope that you do.
For all these videos. This nonsense that we're speaking
Patreon
right now.
We each have
Patreon. We do each have Patreon, and the URLs for those will be in the description. And if we were good at this, I would explain to you why it's a good idea to support us on Patreon. But I did not prepare for that, guys. So I have to apologize for that.
You too might want a butt sensor for your home automation, and your contributions on Patreon are a huge reason why we're able to make butt sensors.
It's true. I could not have made a butt sensor without the support of my patrons. And I'm not even